Welcome back, everyone. Now, you might remember these images. It was devastating. It was blew my mind, actually. I was so devastated when I saw these pictures.
Yeah.
This horrible tsunami that hit Sri Lanka, and it'll stay with me forever.
Yeah, and I mean, all Southeast Asia, those images, you know, they're from a couple of years ago now, but they really are images that you know, were shocking to the world. And, you know, the efforts still go on. It's years later, and they're still trying to rebuild that area, and you know, it takes, you know, it takes a lot of people to and a lot of money to rebuild that infrastructure.
It does, and with us now is a very important reverend who's been spending some time speaking with him earlier today, and I'm happy to have him on. And they're doing a lot to help support the South Asian community and help rebuild. We'll be showing some images that they've been doing to help this progression, and I'm very happy to have you with us today, sir.
And Reverend, just talk to us a bit about the program that you have in place to support this tsunami relief.
Well, as tsunami happened, after the tsunami met, so people requested from the southern part of Sri Lanka, because I was running in that area doing kind of project for needy children. And after the tsunami met, so they asked me to build an orphanage because there were so many orphan children due to the tsunami. So at that time, I visited there and I went there and I helped, and we built temporary houses for them. But eventually we came up with an idea to build up an orphanage for them as a permanent solution to send them to school and educate them and build as a good citizens of the society.
Well, not a lot of people know that, you know, I mean, some people are aware that the tsunami hit Sri Lanka. I was in Colombo about a year ago, but a lot of people know that it hit Thailand because that was one of the worst affected areas, but a number of other nations, including Sri Lanka, were affected as well.
Of course, the southern part of Sri Lanka, which is especially the Hambantota district, because so many people lost their lives because of the tsunami, and as well as so many children left without parents, because parents took away with the tsunami, and so then we have to come up with a solution in order to educate and, you know, to give a hand for these children to stand up.
What type of, we saw the images, of course, as it happened, but what type of devastation is still there? What did you see with your eyes when you were in Sri Lanka?
Well, at that time, we can't put into word because it's the first time we have seen such a thing. But as a human being, especially as a Buddhist monk, so I felt we got to do something for these orphan children. And tsunami affected people because they lost everything, whatever they had, and belonged to them. So they were like left people, orphan people, you know, including children and as well as the people.
You know, I just find it really interesting that, you know, when a huge news event of this proportion happens, it's in the public consciousness for, you know, a certain amount of time, and then most people, it goes away in the mainstream media and people forget about it, and there is a need. It's years later, but there's still a need to help that region.
Actually, that's a good point to make up, because at the tsunami time, so many people and organizations came up to help people, but now it's almost 5th year anniversary is coming pretty soon in 1 week's time. But today I can't see any of those organizations or people, those who came at that time to help these people. But still these people need help.
Yes.
Building houses and sending them to school, because the children is still just, some children are like 7, 8 years old. It still took almost 5 years. So we need to help these people.
Well, did so many people, you know, people still want to lend a hand, and I'm sure they want to help, but did people really just leave? And not really put forth the effort that's still needed? Like, what still needs to be done?
Well, specifically in this case, what I am doing, so I'm building an orphanage for these children. We already done first and second phase of the orphanage, and still we got to do the phase 3rd and 4th, because that is the area that we are going to build schools and playground and for these children. So they need, you know, because they are just still 10 years, 12 years old children.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, it is fantastic work that you are doing. We've got some photos, actually, of the orphanage that we're going to take a look at right now.
Sure.
you do a lot of work. We're talking about the tsunami, but you also do a lot of work. The Canada Sri Lanka Life Development Center does a lot of other work as well. Tell us a bit about that while we look at these photos of the orphanage. And it's really amazing work that you guys are doing.
Well, I'm running a 7 project. This is one of the biggest projects that I am doing because for these children, I thought we want to help these children in order to build them as a good citizens of the society rather than falling into their from people's hand or the wrong side of the society. Yeah. So that's what is still we are struggling to give good education for these people.
Look, isn't it nice? I just noticed to see that Canadian flag in the background with those kids. It's nice to see that there's smiles on their faces.
Well, whatever the money that we spend, the funds that came from Canada, from the generous Canadian people, including Sri Lankan community, so we raise all funds from here and we send there and build, and because we do all these activities under Canada Sri Lanka Life Development Center, which is a registered Canadian charity. So in addition to that, I'm running almost now 15 years a scholarship project, giving a scholarship for needy children who really need them. As well, we are running a nursery program, providing them all necessary needs in order to go to school and study.
Well, you mentioned a little before about, the need for this. What would happen to some of these kids if there wasn't a program like this in place, if there wasn't support?
Well, that's what I mentioned earlier bit. If there is no such a program, or if there is no somebody to take care of them, so they may fall into wrong people's hand or wrong side of the society.
So we're talking gangs, we're talking
it
violence.
Can be. It can be.
Right.
Because we have no idea, but we know, we can think of, what will happen if there is no parent for these children.
And survival, right? Just
exactly.
want and need to survive.
Survival plus their education.
So this is an ongoing project. The work that the Development Center does is ongoing.
Yes.
Why do you continue the work that you do?
Well, I'm pleased to do that because as being a Buddhist monk, I'm practicing as Buddha taught us the karuna, what we call the compassion. So I feel the compassion in action. Yeah. So I have totally dedicated my whole life for the others, especially for these particular children. So that's what I'm building: orphanages, schools, playground, and for them in order to make them happier.
Well, you know what? Thank you for the work that you're doing. You're making the Sri Lankan community proud, and you're making Canadians in general proud. So continue the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
We're going to be back after the break with more here on Daytime. Everyone, stick around.